A big thanks to PHOTOSAVINGS.com for supplying us with the Focusrite Scarlett Solo Studio package used in this home recording mini-series. They have everything from photography and video equipment to musical instruments, pro audio, and more. Use the discount code MusicTechHelpGuy for 10% off your next order. Hey guys, this is Josh Carney from Carney Media Group and the Music Tech Help Guy YouTube channel. Welcome back to my absolute beginner's guide to home recording. In this video, we're going to talk about microphones and single miking techniques. So there's three main types of mics. You have dynamic mics, ribbon mics, and condenser mics. Dynamic mics like this Shure SM57 and this SM7B are sometimes called moving coil mics. This is because they function with a copper coil attached to a diaphragm that moves in a magnetic field to generate sound. Alex Milne over at rfvenue.com has a great article about how dynamic mics work, with some great illustrations that explain the anatomy of how a dynamic mic works and how magnetic induction converts sound pressure energy into electrical energy. I'll leave a link to the article below if you want to check it out. These are typically your cheapest option for mics, but cheap doesn't always translate to least viable in the studio. These are great options for some guitar amps, bass cabs, close mics for drums, and even for vocals. Ribbon mics function very similarly to dynamic mics, but instead of a moving coil and a magnetic field, you have a thin piece of aluminum foil that moves between two magnets, so that's the magnetic field. Now, this ribbon material is extremely fragile, but produces the warmest tone of any of the mic types. However, this also limits their use. With vintage ribbon mics, you can't record louder sound sources because this can actually blow the ribbon. However, modern ribbon mics like this Royer R122, for example, can handle much higher sound pressure levels. The R122 can handle SPLs up to 135 dB. Now, you can use ribbon mics for vocals, but it's not really that common anymore. Ribbon mics are typically reserved for wind instruments, strings, guitar amps, and I also love using them for drums as room mics. Condenser mics are really going to be your go-to mic for most single mic home studio applications. They're the most sensitive, meaning that you can mic further away from the source and still pick up the sound just fine. They also have the widest frequency response, with most condensers picking up from 20 Hz to 20,000 Hz, so the full audible frequency range. Most dynamic mics and ribbon mics roll off in the low end and high end. However, that's not necessarily a bad thing. It just makes their frequency responses more specialized for certain instruments. Condensers are typically going to be your go-to for vocals, acoustic guitar, and other acoustic instruments. I also use a pair of them as drum overheads to pick up the kit and the cymbals. As I mentioned in the last video, condenser mics require phantom power. This is because they don't work with magnetic induction like dynamic and ribbon mics do. The capsule in a condenser mic works like a capacitor, hence why they're sometimes called capacitor mics. A capacitor is an element that can hold an electrical charge. When you send phantom power to a condenser mic, you're charging the capsule, and the capsule reacts to any frequency and amplitude fluctuations in the sound pressure. This is then converted to an electrical signal. Now that we've covered the three main types of microphones, let's talk about different polar response patterns or polar patterns. Some microphones offer different polar patterns which determine the direction from which the microphone hears from, or the direction that it picks up sound from. For example, this Warm Audio WA47 Junior offers three polar pattern options. Omnidirectional, which picks up sound equally from around the mic capsule. Imagine a sphere around the mic capsule picking up sound. Unidirectional, which is often called cardioid. This means the mic picks up mostly from the front, none from the back, and some from the sides. And lastly, bidirectional, or figure 8 as it's sometimes called. This means that the mic picks up equally from the front and back of the capsule, but not from the sides. Some mics like this AKG C414 BULS offer additional options like supercardioid, which focuses the front end pickup even more and rejects the side pickup. However, this picks up a little bit more sound from the back of the capsule. Hypercardioid is another common option in condenser mics where there's even more front end focus. So keep in mind, I'm just covering the basics of microphones here. If you want to learn more about microphones and miking techniques, check out my Logic Pro 10 501 course over at ask.video and macprovideo.com. The course is a studio series on guitar recording and production, but there's a lot of information in the course that's just good overall information about microphones. In particular, parts 11 through 17, where I talk about the different mic types, I do different mic shootouts on guitar with different dynamic, ribbon, and condenser mics. I talk about phase cancellation, and using multiple microphones to layer up the sound. In addition, I cover stereo miking techniques for acoustic guitar in parts 23 through 25. Additionally, you can check out Joe Albano's Audiopedia 106 course, which is a great overview for understanding microphones, mic types, polar patterns, and stereo miking techniques. So now that you understand the different mic types and polar patterns, let's talk about some basic single miking techniques. In the previous video, I used the included Scarlett CM25 condenser mic in my Scarlett Solo Studio package. I find that angling the mic down at the singer's chin or mouth helps to avoid low-frequency plosives, but also helps with high-frequency sibilants.
Do you think if I jumped in the river, I would sink or it would make things clearer? River, carry me to the sea. Got out of the chaos, I'm so grateful, can't ever pay it off. Like myself a little better. Life's more of an adventure.
Now, even though condenser mics are typically going to be your go-to mic for vocal recordings, in some instances, I find that a dynamic mic like this Shure SM7B, for example, often works well with certain voice types, especially rock vocals.
Why do we always have to say goodbye? Do we always have to live and die? Can't we live this life for each other? Oh, so many times I've told you, in so many ways I've shown you. Why do we have to say goodbye?
Here I'm using the SM57 on a guitar amp for some nice clean and crunch tones. The SM57 is a cheap mic at around $100 US, and it's the most popular dynamic mic for miking up guitar cabinets. So this is a perfect example of a cheap mic being incredibly useful for studio recordings. If you center the mic on the speaker, you'll get the most high-end pickup, and as you move the mic off-center, you'll get less highs. Ribbon mics are nice for guitar amps as well, and can help to tame some of the high frequencies. acoustic guitar, condensers are the way to go. So if you mic right over the sound hole, you're going to get a lot of low frequency buildup. If you mic over the 12th to 15th fret area, you're going to get more of a high frequency emphasis from the strings. And if you mic down by the bridge, you'll get more of like a mid-range frequency. One of my favorite and simplest single mic techniques for acoustic guitar is to record 2 takes and then pan them left and right. I typically go with the 12th to 15th fret position for this. This will give your recording a nice wide stereo image with a lot of nice high-end emphasis from the strings for strumming parts. Alright, so I've got 2 acoustic guitars layered up here in Logic. Here's the first one. And here's the second one soloed out. Now for both of these, I just used a single condenser mic around the 15th fret position. Let's hear both, and then I'll hard pan them for a nice wide stereo image. Alright guys, that's it for part 2 of my absolute beginner's guide to home recording. In part 3, I'll move on to DI recordings and editing and comping your recordings. Again, a big thanks to PHOTOSAVINGS.com for supplying the Scarlett Studio package for this video series. You can use the discount code MusicTechHelpGuy at checkout for 10% off your order. You can also check me out on social media, on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and on Patreon if you'd like to make a monthly donation to the channel. Thanks for the support, and thanks for watching.